Every morning, after having breakfast and getting ready for work, just before closing the door as I leave, I pause for a few seconds to look around my flat before turning off the light. I still find it hard to believe that this small space, nestled between the mountains and the waters of the lake, is really mine, that it is, to all intents and purposes, my home. So many things have changed in recent years. All it took was moving a few pieces on the chessboard and losing a few others, and everything started to take a new turn, right up to today. In particular, starting with the sacrifice of a bishop, I now find myself at only 26 years of age, already owning my own flat. There is only one thing that often makes me think when I'm traveling. How is it possible that when I wake up in a bed used by thousands of people before me, in a room shared with perhaps 7 or 8 other beds, and possibly with the smell of particularly spicy food in the air, I feel much better than when I open my eyes on my mattress, which is more than a foot thick? What is the reason for that feeling of inner fulfillment, that feeling of being so well, of feeling in the right place? Since my struggle to step outside my comfort zone began with my first steps around Europe, I have tried to reshape my daily routine as much as possible, cutting back on everything that may seem useful but that I recognize as superfluous and not really necessary. The question behind certain choices is very simple. Can I do without it? And if the answer is yes, all that remains is to remove that item from my habits. Some decisions were more necessary than others, some were real-life choices, but I know I can still take many steps forward. Starting with my beloved trip to Tenerife, to the incredible Camino de Santiago, I have been able to unmask trip after trip, step after step, what I can actually do without, and paradoxically, I have had a more emotionally rich experience. With less, you live more. There is an anecdote that I find particularly effective. Often during the winter, before going to bed, I drink a huge cup of hot tea with a dry biscuit. At first, I would soak them until the tea was almost completely drained, going to bed with a certain heaviness in my stomach and always waking up with a very dry throat. However, since I started reducing the amount, forcing myself to eat no more than 5 and later no more than 3, I began to sleep much better and appreciate those biscuits much more, as I was also able to enjoy the warmth of the cup, which was still almost full of tea. Perhaps it was having too much that prompted me to reshape my lifestyle, to get closer and closer to the way of life I seek and experience when I travel. I live without a television or clocks, I only drink water, I use public transport as little as possible, preferring a nice walk even if it is long. During the winter, I only turn on the boiler for an hour a day, living with an average indoor temperature of 15 degrees, walking around the house with a simple blanket with sleeves. And in the evening, I always keep only one light on, mainly the desk lamp, enjoying a soft and relaxing atmosphere. Small gestures, small sacrifices, but I live well anyway, in fact. With the same philosophy, asking myself this time whether what I do adds value to my life, whether it makes me feel good and whether I see any benefits, I began to question my passions, even though I realized that more or less everything I do has been the result of careful selection. But over the years I have accumulated so many, in fact too many hobbies, and I had to make choices, focusing on walking in the mountain to satisfy my physical well-being, reading and writing to keep my language skills active, which often proved difficult, maintaining my love of photography and video making to increase my wealth of memories, and increasingly reviving my passion for painting, which had fallen by the wayside, now encouraged by my rare ability for synesthesia, which I have decided to cultivate with love and dedication. It's what makes me even more unique than I already am, and over time it is becoming the characteristic I most like to use to describe myself to others. Who knows, maybe I can actually build something around it.